Subterror shakes up the Iowa Regional. Yes, you heard me say that correctly. This is the first time that I think I've seen Subterror perform in probably 6 months outside of a local level. Let's pass it on over to that Iowa Regional breakdown. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. A couple of Duelist and Top Cut out of the Iowa Regional helped me plug in the final missing 3 list for this. So thank you for helping me complete the little pie chart here. So, Iowa, what we got going out here? Well, I mean, it's pretty far out there regional, so somebody's going to comment that and be like, oh my god, like, so Iowa had 2 tier elements in Top Cut. I'm not necessarily crazy shocked about that, to be honest with you, considering this deck has been running around as one of the highest represented Top Cut seats in pretty much the format. I understand changes on the horizon here, but tier pregame is just tearing it up. We had 2 Flanders decks in Top Cut as well. Flanders still maintaining some sort of headway out here, which is quite nice, honestly. I do like Flanders maintaining and doing pretty excellent things out here, yes. 2 Sprite decks in Top Cut. I don't have anything really too crazy to say about this. When we get into, looking through the top deck list here, you'll kind of get the chance to see, some of the interesting things that some of these Sprite decks were trying to do. Sprite isn't anywhere near dead after the loss of Ronin Totem. I think it's kind of important to prove that to players that, this deck will be undergoing an evolution here shortly, but it is still kind of important to see how this is going. We also had 1 Sword Soul in Top Cut as well, which, I mean, alright, the deck is still doing its thing. Sword Soul is still one of those leading decks that I think will do pretty good overall, at least going forward. I mean, the deck's still at full power, hasn't lost anything. And then we also had 1 Subterror. I think this was the thing I was most excited about. And we'll go through and we'll talk about that list here in a second. But to see Subterror still holding on to this format, Floodgate good stuff actually maintaining a presence here in the format. Dragoon still looking like an amazing card at the end of the day. I think it's pretty good. Well, let's pass on over to the top deck list now, shall we? All right, the first deck list we're going to be looking at here is a actual not runic list. I'm actually very happy about this. Coming out of the extravaganza last weekend, it was all runic sprite, runic sprite, runic sprite. No, this deck, while, the runic sprite engine, I mean, still okay, you do have variations here, and this is the Dark Beckoning Beast version, because this all revives around, opening of the Spirit Gates, trying to get the extension on the normal summon, and then continue to play on through. I also like the fact that this build is playing double smashers. Most of these builds I've seen have been focusing on 1 smasher, which is fine at the end of the day. The main side 1 ends up getting you places, which is fine. I do like Gamma Burst down here. This card ends up being such a powerhouse enabler. Just being able to plow through fields, have your opponent go, what just happened? Like, what am I supposed to do about this? OTK potential becomes very, very real when you can just turn everything into a large attack point monster and, tear through your opponent's field. It's actually quite nice. Honestly, outside of that, I do like the Gammas in the main. I feel like that's okay. Pixie seeing some play in here is also kind of nice. You gotta love like your little option trees. And we also have the 1 Iprea in here for, free draw power chicken tendies. Alright, don't underestimate what an Iprea draw can get you like midway through a combo. All of a sudden, it nets you a hand trap and you're like, smiling even more. Plus, being able to bring it back off a Sprite out during the opponent's turn to get an additional draw feels absolutely amazing. Moving on along here, Flanderweeze. We're playing an Aslapiscu down here. This card can attack your opponent directly. It's a Wing Beast monster. Oh, well, that's cute. I haven't seen many people going down the route of trying to include this within their strategy. I like the idea of this. I mean, obviously you have to have a field spell up and running to get, your best value out of the bird. But all right, we're also on double Stormwinds. I feel like the longer that these formats continue to develop, I think double Stormwinds ends up being a good and a bad thing. Good news is if your opponent clears off one, you're like, oh, they got Dark Ruler no more. You can just activate normal summon trap card, or map, and then redeploy another one. Like, that's your big advantage tree with this, is just you can step on into another one. I feel like that's the only reason why you care about this. We're also only playing 1 Unexplored Winds. Some builds have been playing 2 Unexplored Winds. 1 in the main, 1 in the side, that's fine. And we're also main decking the Ultimate Slayers and the Heartbeast Featherstorm. So whatever your opponent's going to throw at you, you will be able to essentially tear through at any sort of capacity, which I think is kind of nice at the end of the day here. Also, Promenade Thrush getting the chance to see a little bit of love down here. So overall, all right, I like this. This is not bad. All right, what else we got here? More Flaunderies. Oh gosh, little differences in list for 500. You see, we shift here. Now we're playing one Storm Winds. We're also only main decking one DD Crow. I mean, honestly, having this be a searchable option is kind of cute. What are we? We're actually playing some train stuff. So I suppose in a situation where you have double end pen deployed against your opponent and you need to clear out a game. Say you put up double end pen through the opponent's turn, your turn comes, you can actually make Gustav Max and actually make an attempt to close the game. It doesn't come up anywhere near the amount that I think you might think it does, but I do think that it is important enough. You know, in a deck like this, if you're not playing like Ghost Reapers or things like that, you can get way crazier with your X deck, all right? Like, those niche interactions that come up, oh man, maybe... well, 1 out of every 100 games you can factor for, I suppose. I also feel like the Gustav play is like a little bit win more at certain situations, but that's fine. We're also playing Yield Mystic Mine as a 1-of, which is fine. We're also main decking Dimensional Fissure, which is kind of cool. And we actually have lose 1 turns in here as well. Okay. I mean, I like what I'm seeing here. I have no generalized complaints whatsoever. I like the idea of what we're doing here. Shout out to Royal Decree being an amazing card. Next up here is another Sprite list. Now this is very reminiscent to what we were doing much earlier last format, where you play the Trickstar Light stages to search for the Lily Bell, and then this stupid good field spell gives you the ability to turn off anything that your opponent might try to do. Don't you love the fact that you get interruptible spells and traps? Like, this is actually so good at the end of the day. So kudos for the inclusion of this within this deck. This is actually really nice. I see we're also playing the Rite of Armesia package here to make that Brave token. Honestly, this wasn't very successful last format. I know a lot of people played it. It did see a pretty decent amount of play, but from where I'm sitting right now, I think that... I still think it's in the same position it was last format. Like, it was good, but it wasn't anywhere near, like, the level of good that you would think it would be. So, if you're still looking at playing Sprite right now, good news is, you know, the Nimble package is going to get really good with Sprint as we go forward here. Definitely something to look forward to. And I think overall, like, the rest of the power scaling that's going on for the rest of this deck is perfectly fine. Also, still only 1 Smashers for this list. We're not main decking, or excuse me, we're not maining a second, or we're not setting a second. So, it's really up to you if you want to go after the second route of Thrashers, but our Smashers, I do think it can work itself out, alright? And then next up here, we have Subterror. Now, first thing I want to say about Subterror, where you been all format? Holy crap! This deck has been so quiet. Now, the Duels didn't show anything else in their extra deck because they deemed that nothing else was important, alright? So, you are straight playing a 15-card extra deck, keep that in mind, but the other 13 cards can be whatever you want, alright? Like, Dragoon Aged or Go-To. Now, this becomes really hard to manage because, you know, Dark Ruler no more. The rest of the Board Breaker friends are running around in the format. So, a card like this actually tearing through... I mean, this deck did get 5th place out of the regional. In the top cut, from what I was told, this was 5th place. So this wasn't like an 8th seat deck getting in. No, this was actually a pretty high contender on the chart here. I also see we're main decking 1 Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Mine, and 1 Necro Valley. So don't underestimate Necro Valley. I will tell you that a lot of people are looking at Necro Valley this format and going, hey, there's no point in playing it. No. Necro Valley has been doing a lot of work, and I will say it's very, very underrated. It's one of those cards in the scope of the current format that people just look at and go, I don't see a reason to play this. Well, it's an amazing anti-meta choice. That's why you play it. I also like the fact that we are focusing on Cave Clash here as well. So overall, everything about this regional I like. I like the fact that Subterror did show up, the fact that the meta doesn't look quite as bad as we had thought. So what do you think about this regional breakdown? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.